Good morning, and thank you all for joining me this Wednesday, April 16th, 2025, a Holy Wednesday, or as some of us may call it, Spy Wednesday. And we'll find out the reason why some of us call it Spy Wednesday. Well, here we go. It was early morning in Jerusalem. The sun had barely crested over the rooftops, and the city buzzed with quiet preparation for Passover. In the outer courts of the temple, a boy watched as merchants opened their stalls and priests walked by briskly in solemn robes. He spotted a man familiar, calm, and strangely radiant. It was Jesus. The boy had heard the name in whispers, and the crowd pressing in to hear him, and watched as the tension in the eyes of the temple leaders whenever he spoke. But today was different. Jesus stood quietly, not teaching or healing, but he was looking, watching, waiting. Across the courtyard, a man named Judas approached, walking with purpose. The boy didn't know much, but he could sense something, a chill in the air. The heaviness, like the sky itself, was holding its breath. That day, the boy would remember the way Jesus looked at Judas, not with anger, not with fear, but with sorrow and love. It was Holy Wednesday, and while the city bustled with routine and ritual, heaven was preparing for the weight of betrayal. The glory would follow. Holy Wednesday is often remembered as the day that Judas betrayed Jesus and took those first steps. But it's also the moment when Jesus continued to walk faithfully towards the cross and spend more time exploring in what it means to remain faithful, even when you face sorrow, rejection, or uncertainty. So, if you do have your Bibles with you, I'm going to be opening to the book of Luke, and we'll be reading verses 1 through 6, and we'll break those down into two main points. So if you do have your Bibles, whether it be in person or electronically, I would be delighted if you would open up your Bibles to Luke chapter 22, verses 1 through 6. Let me open up there myself. Pages are sticking together. Here we go. The plot to kill Jesus. A festival of unleavened bread, which had called Passover, was approaching. The chief priests and the scribes were looking for a way to put him to death, because they were afraid of the people. Then Satan entered Judas, called Iscariot, who numbered among the 12 disciples. He went away and discussed with the chief priests and the temple police how he could hand him over to them. They were glad and agreed to give him silver. So he accepted the offer and started looking for a good opportunity to betray him. To betray him to them when the crowd was not present. The reason why they did not want to do this in front of a crowd was because the crowd would get angry, because they were all supporters of Jesus, because they were listening to him teach and preach and talk about things. And remember, as we saw in Jesus' ministry, he did these big events where he taught. And he was up on a high place so that everybody could see him when he fed the 5,000 people, 5,000 men, not including the women or children. And so that's a lot. That's a lot of people. So to break this down even further, the plot begins in verses 1 through 2, where it kind of gives the background to when this needs to take place. It talks about the festival of unleavened bread in verse 1, and Passover was coming up. And in verse 2, the chief priests were looking for a way to put Jesus to death. And the second thing that we see is the heart of betrayal in verses 3 through 6. And it talks about when Satan entered Judas, or as the disciples called him, Iscariot. And when Satan entered him, nobody else, this was God's plan. Because the devil can't do anything to us unless Jesus allows it, right? And so God allowed Satan to come into Judas to make him think these thoughts and have him have these motives and want to kill Jesus and turn him over to them for the money, because he was handling with the 12 disciples, money. And so he was wanting the money. I watched a movie recently, and it was called The King of Kings. If you haven't seen that one, you should go see it. It is animated. But you should go see it, because I watched it with my mom because she wanted some inspiration for her younger children that she teaches Sunday morning. But it had a perfect example of Judas after Jesus was captured. Not even before he died, Judas gave back the priest's money, showing that he was sorry for what he had done, and he knew that this was not what he wanted to do. He just wanted the money, not for Jesus to die. But that's what ended up happening. And it did work out for the best, because Jesus ended up saving us from our sin. Which, what could we say about that? So this kind of concludes my study for today, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see you joining me for tomorrow's study. Thursday, April 17th, 2025, a Holy Thursday, is when I will see you next. So, hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow.